377 Scott on
me
the
a call.
line. Come on, everybody. That's
called
got
him
a
up,
ring to it.
And his brother was getting married that weekend, so he's kind of like, "Oh, I'm really busy this weekend, but let's get together." And so then we ended up going out like probably the next weekend.
Went out on a first date, and it was the worst
terrible.
date of my life.
Really bad.
Where'd you go?
Really
What
bad.
happened?
So I took her to a movie.
I like this.
I took her to a movie. You didn't know what you're getting into. This is a long story.
No,
I love
we
this.
did. We
No, we
totally
did.
did.
So took her to a movie. We went and saw
Romeo and Juliet.
Romeo and Juliet, the version that
The
came
With
out.
Leonardo, right?
Leonardo
Yes.
and
Man,
Kat
I'm old,
Dennings.
bro.
Yeah.
That seems like I had
Buddy,
6
we're
kids
old.
I
by
know, it
then,
is.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're grandparents.
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
No, it
Okay.
was. I
Good
mean, that would have
looking
been
granddad.
96.
96.
96. I mean, that's a long time ago.
Yeah.
So took her to see that, and there was 5 guys that sat on the row behind us. Nobody else in the movie theater. It's
Right.
us 2 and 5 guys. They sat right behind us,
Oh,
and we're
man.
like throwing
Clowns.
popcorn and just
Right.
clowning.
Just
over
being
just
punks.
being
Yes.
teenage
Yeah.
boys.
It's like Trey and his buddies.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sitting
that would be
behind
that
us
would
on
be
a
Trey
date
right
with
Right,
there.
Trey.
right,
We
yeah.
would do that.
That would be
And we
true.
tell him the story. Like,
So-
it's you and your friends. We're like, oh,
So
we would totally do that.
The movie was kind of distracting. And then I just took her to ice cream afterwards. Daddy D's ice cream right there. in
Daddy
Cape
D's.
Coral.
That's her favorite. That's where her
Daddy
dad
D's.
used to
Listen,
take her all the
if
time.
you grew up in Fort Myers,
Yes.
you
You
know
knew it.
that
Daddy
is
D's.
that is
Yep.
a place.
So took her to Daddy D's and tried just small talk.
Right.
And then
I was probably pretty
the
guarded.
beginning of
Yeah.
the beginning of the date is the reason she was guarded. So I had an Isuzu Trooper with 212s in the back.
Mm,
little
yeah,
system.
beating, baby.
Boom, boom.
Again, like
The good old
spoiled
days,
kid.
man.
Spoiled,
But
that's okay.
so we get
Daggone
in the
white
car.
privilege.
We
That's
get in the
right.
car.
You had it
And
all.
I told you, I think that I'm a player. I'm in
Right.
no means a player. But
Right.
I
Well,
think
you
I
got
am.
all the
right
Because
things,
I
my
listened
man.
to some Tupac. And I
Yeah.
listened
But
to,
you got a phone line. You
And
got a
so-
trooper with
Come on.
12s.
so
Sherwin Vegas, I
I
hope.
picked out a CD for the night to
Mm.
play in the background.
Music. See how music plays?
Wow, he's thinking this
Little
through.
Keith Sweat.
Oh,
Oh.
Nobody.
oh man, let me tell you. This guy, music is so important. If people think it isn't,
What?
look at
Yeah,
it
it
though.
connects you, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
right.
And
Takes you
so
right back
it
to
did
that
not
time.
Yeah, we know.
connect Becky and I. Though.
No,
it did not.
because she was like Celine Dion would not be listening.
She got into the car and within
Just
10
like-
seconds,
I like-
I had it all planned out. Like I got the song, I'm playing it. She get in the car and she said, "What is this crap?"
Just
you're
beating
listening
too.
to?"
You had 12s
What
and
is
a
this crap?
trooper, so it was beating.
It
Oh,
was
yeah.
bumping.
Doom, doom.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
It was
I
bumping.
liked. I had a 1978 Datsun.
Oh,
That was a
I
cool
liked
car.
the
Yeah.
Beatles.
Yeah, she
Like
listened to Beatles.
it was just a different.
She had
A
never
different
listened to a
vibe.
rap
Vibe,
song
different
before.
vibe.
Like,
When you get in my
definitely
car.
Totally different.
Yeah.
So,
What is
anyways,
this crap?
She said,
So that-
"What is this crap?"
that put her on
I
a
like
heightened
Keith Sweat.
alarm right there when she heard Keith Sweat and she thought I was
I've
trying
warmed
to
up. It's
schmooze
not
her.
so bad
but
now.
yeah, now it's a good memory.
That's great.
nostalgic,
That is
but-
great.
So she was like right away, what is this crap? And I just
Right,
had
right.
to just like turn it on a radio station. And so I'm still trying all night. So we go to get ice cream and have some small chat and small talk. And then I find out later that I had ice cream on my chin the whole time.
Right.
And she was
So
grossed out by
disgusting.
it. Didn't ever say,
supposed
hey,
to
you got
tell him.
some
I
ice
didn't.
cream on your
No,
chin.
They just-
I
They just
come
date
on.
one. Right, yeah.
But she
Oh,
never said
man.
it. So
No,
I
I wasn't a
she
great
was
first
just
date.
disgusted by me.
I
Like, she was
wasn't
like,
a
"Look, this
great
is disgusting.
She went home and wrote it in the journal, I bet
yeah,
you.
she wrote the journal.
Well, I went home. That's the best part. So
Oh,
then,
yeah.
Then you walk into the
Take her
door.
So
home.
there was
I
no
walk her
kissing.
Well, I'm trying. I'm still trying. I still haven't given up. It's been all these bad things, and I'm a guy.
Still
so I'm
hanging
still
on.
trying for that
Relentless,
kiss at the end of the night.
Relentless. That's
Oh,
right, buddy.
Relentless,
Stay
baby.
relentless,
Go.
Sometimes it all starts a little hope. You got to get relentless with
Relentless,
it.
baby.
So I walk her to her door, and I'm like ready for that end of date kiss that every 17-year-old guy
What you're
wants.
expecting.
And she sticks her hand out to shake my hand
Not the hand.
and says,
Becky.
"It was good seeing you,
Right.
but don't get your
I
hopes
said
up."
it's good catching up and all, but don't get your hopes up.
She said, "Don't get your hopes up."
Oh, man.
She just destroyed me.
Oh.
She said, "Because me and my boyfriend are probably getting back together."
Oh, man. I knew I didn't trust that
Mm.
guy.
No.
Matt.
Yeah.
Where you at now,
Yeah.
Matt?
So I thought I had failed, and I got in my Suzuki Trooper and rode home.
What'd you
and-
listen to on the way home?
Oh, I probably put some Tupac on.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You're like,
You definitely-
ain't nothing but a-
You did. Okay,
I
so
won't deny
party,
it. I'm going to stay
party.
riding. You don't want to with me. Anyway.
So anyways, I thought that was the end of it. And thankfully I had that number that she couldn't forget stuck in her head.
Made it easy.
Smart move, man.
Yeah.
She
Great
gave-
business
She
tactic.
gave me a call
Like 3 days later.
a
It
few
wasn't
days
even,
later
yeah.
and
But
asked
so
me out
the
on a second date.
I was very guarded. I wasn't sure who he was. I mean, I didn't know him in high school, so I
Right.
didn't know.
He changed.
Who
or
knows?
whatever.
He's
Yeah,
broken
I mean, middle
now. Like,
school,
who
you don't even
knows?
know yourself. You know,
Right. And I was still
Yes.
bitter. I was still bitter over the 8th grade kiss that was a kiss and then a
Deuces.
never heard from you again.
Yeah.
So I was just,
Oh.
I was still had a little bit of 8th grade resentment.
I was clueless. then.
right.
Right.
He was
That's
like, oh, I
guys.
remember.
We're clueless
Right.
to that because
Yeah.
to us it was just
So
an
I
8th grade
was,
name.
I was intentionally guarded and I remember being so proud of myself. I went in the house and I called a friend to brag on how I just told Scott
Told him
Guttery
like
off
it was.
Yes.
and told him, it was nice seeing you, but da 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 da. And I held my ground and I didn't allow myself to be swayed by the smooth moves
There were
and the
no
good
smooth
looks.
moves.
And I was just so proud. And then sure enough, like 3 days later, I was like, well, actually.
So you
You
guys
broke
start
down.
courting 3 days.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Now,
so
now
second date.
now we
yeah,
have
So
to
how
second
did
date.
the
dates.
phone call go?
Yeah.
How did
The
this phone
next
call
one
go?
was great. And I
Oh,
invited him
everything-
to my church Christmas pageant. Again, I went to McGregor Baptist. They always have a huge like Christmas pageant event.
Yeah, they do.
And so I was
That
like,
was
you
a
want to
great
go?
date.
That, that was a better date. Yep. That was
And that
better.
was the date that ended again with me like thinking it was going to end with like a kiss at the end, and it ended with me just getting grilled with questions about my faith
Right.
and my past and my future and like
what's
Do
going
you
on?
drink? And
it
you've
was
been-
like
how many girlfriends you had?
I
was grilled
never
over that.
had a girl or even a friend
Care.
ask me those kind of questions.
That's caring.
Yeah.
You didn't have nobody care that much to
That's
know,
being
right?
thorough.
And it was different, and it was like this girl's different
Yeah.
right away. Like then, and so
She's not
I
about the
liked it.
games.
I liked
Right.
it. I,
Yeah.
I wanted
When
more
you
of it.
the
I
word
wanted-
different, that's the same thing I used the first time me and John. I thought there's something different about her. You know what I mean? And
Different is good.
Yeah,
Different is
different.
So then we started dating and going out together
Yep.
and hanging out, and then
Here we are.
here we
Courting.
are. Yeah, we
And
went
so-
to different
Just about.
college, went to long distance relationships, all through
Colleges,
college.
that's
5 hours
Yeah.
apart.
I mean, really though, man. But that's what I'm saying. All of that, you went through this and that, and you could have said, "Hey, well, whatever," like,
Mhm.
because God had you guys aligned from
Yeah.
second grade.
Right.
Yeah.
Really,
Yeah.
you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
Or
it's cool to
who
see
knows
that.
before? But when you think of that, look at it, how it
Yeah.
happens, and then she could have went and married Matt, and then you
Mhm.
would have been like, well, then you'd have married whoever, and then
Yeah.
Right.
then there would be no Trey, how he is, there'd be no Reese, there'd be
Yeah.
no legacy. The gutter,
No
the way it
Chewy.
is, right?
I
So when you
I
think
love
of
the
that
story.
stuff,
I love telling
you
it.
think of how, and sometimes you forget that, right?
Right.
Until you sit down and say,
Rehash it.
wow, that's a dude, what a testimony that you have an 8th grade dance picture.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right? I mean, to
What?
me, see, now a guy who's been through whatever, and John and I had divorce papers twice and all these crazy things, and I've had kids and she had kids. But to me, where we're at in our life, where we're gonna, our whole thing, if you'd have told me people would call me for marriage advice, I'm like, dude, I'm the last dude in the world.
Yeah.
Right? But what that does to me is when I hear your story, is like it's easy to get caught up in like, well, marriage, it usually don't. It inspires me,
It's
like, see
sacred.
what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
There's stories out here like this that marriage works if you do it God's way, right? And
Yeah.
and be true. So let's fast forward. So you went to college, she went to college those years, and then when did you get married?
Yeah.
Right out of college, or you had already?
We got married like 2 weeks after I graduated
Right.
college. She graduated a year early because she's a genius. And
Right.
She did it in 3 years. And
Becky.
so the cool thing again, like just the way God's favor kind of worked out. She worked for a year, saving up money, saving, so that
Wow.
we were able to. And she had a full scholarship to college, so she had no
Wow.
college debt because of that.
Man, that's
I was
beautiful.
Blessed to have parents that paid for my college, so I had no college debt. Her dad's a real estate agent, so he helped us with the kind of some closing costs on our first home, and she
Wow.
had some money from a year of savings, so we were able to get married and have a home that we owned to move into,
Wow.
and that was
I mean,
was
listen,
pretty cool.
that's all that stability foundation stuff,
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah, so we got married right then, 2001, June of 2001,
Wow.
and
Moved back here. Yeah. It was
Moved back
back
to Fort
here.
Myers.
We both
I-
wanted to be back in Florida.
yeah,
Fort
I knew
Myers.
she wanted to move back to Florida, and so I wanted to be with her. So
Right.
so
Of
that
course.
was, and that shaped my career too. I knew I wanted to be a basketball coach. I was playing basketball in
Mhm.
Kentucky, a small school up there, and that's kind of like basketball country up there,
Right.
right?
Oh,
So I
yeah.
probably would have stayed up there and kept coaching up there
Right.
if I wasn't marrying a Florida girl. So brought
So
me
you
back here.
moved back. When And then how long had you guys been married before you had Reese?
Yeah. Go ahead. You talk for a little while.
Yeah. So we'd been married about it was 3.5 years. I mean, I kind of had it.
She had it all
I did
planned.
have that planned out a little bit. I mean, it's a finance
There's
major.
no accidents.
No
Wow.
accidents.
And so I had learned
I was
lots
an
of
accident.
things from like, I had learned from like Dave Ramsey, Financial
yeah.
Peace. Like I just ate that stuff up in
Right.
college. I
That's
loved
the best stuff,
and,
man.
and it helped. So it's just like what you're saying too. It's like, man, we just have been blessed with some of these really great foundational truths early on, and grabbed hold of
It's
it
the principles.
and lived it out. And then you do get to reap.
Yeah,
the
you reap what
benefits
you
of-
sow.
Reap what you sow.
Wow.
'cause
Yeah.
those are
I mean,
some-
it's
Yeah.
in the Bible. I was listening to a thing today, and it was talking about King David. But what you're saying, that's principles. You know, King David medicated, right? And then there's people who motivate, and there's people who meditate
Mhm.
on problem, pains, life, and all those principles is how you ended up
Right.
the
Yep.
way you guys are.
Yep. And so I had it planned. I knew we both worked obviously right out of college, but I'd seen enough people kind of struggle with going back to work after having a kid that I was like, I never had thought about it. I hadn't thought about that I might want to stay at home because I really liked work.
Yeah.
I love working. I loved what I did. But I saw people struggle and thought, well, let's make sure that we're saving up now, because he was a teacher,
Right.
to set aside money so that if I don't want to go back to work, we won't have to. We'll at least buy ourselves a little bit of time. And
Right.
that worked out. We had a friend who's a financial planner. He helped us kind of put together like, well, yeah, you got 2 incomes, no kids for a while. You can stash away some money. Were you able to do that? And so, it was about 3.5 years. Reese was born in April 2005. And I was able to quit my job and stay at home. And pretty soon after that, we had somewhere along the line, we had decided that we would want to adopt.
Yeah. Tell that story.
yeah,
So Reese is your
Reese is
biological son.
Yep,
And how old
Trey.
is Reese?
Reese is he's 19, so they're a year apart.
19.
A year and 2
then
weeks apart.
Trey is 18.
Trey's
okay.
18.
And then
Yep.
get into, so we got Reese.
Yep.
He's biological, and then Trey.
Yep. So I was always a big fan of Stephen Curtis Chapman. He's
Mhm.
a Christian
Mhm.
artist,
I-
especially big
Yeah.
in
Saddle up
90s,
your horses.
2000s. Yes, that's the 90s
Mhm.
version for sure. And he so I went to concerts, things like that, and there was a good chunk of his concert ministry that focused on adoption.
Mhm.
And so it's funny, we've talked to several friends even who, if you grew up in a Christian community in that year, you're like, yeah, that's how, and their adoptive family.
I remember that. I remember
There's
that.
a lot of adoptive families from that time frame. We're like, oh, it's because of a Stephen Curtis Chapman. You just piqued your interest, made, advocated and taught awareness about it. And so we're like, yeah, I think we would like to adopt. And he was on board with it too. And Reese was a easy pregnancy. I didn't have any problems, but I didn't like it. I didn't
Right.
enjoy it at all. So I was
Really?
like, I don't necessarily want to do this anymore. And remember how we want to adopt. So let's just go ahead and do that next right away. That was kind of, as simple as the thought process was. It was like, we want to adopt anyways, right? So let's go ahead and do it.
We
And
wanted to have 2 boys.
we
Right.
wanted
That
2
was-
boys. We wanted them close in age.
They'd be friends.
Yeah.
Grow
Same
up
thing.
together.
And so, then we started looking into adoption and found out about, so Trey was born in Korea. And at the time, Korea had a pretty stable and predictable adoption system.
Right.
They still do now too. They were mostly boys because family line is a big deal in Asian cultures. And
Right.
so it was easier for girls to be adopted domestically.
Right.
Boys, not so much because they didn't want to have not bloodlines in their family
Right.
carrying on names. So we were like, well, that's great. We would love to get to adopt a little boy. And they're young. They're in foster care. Babies are in foster care over there as opposed to orphanage settings. And you can adopt them as infants. So Trey, we started that process when Reese was 3 months old, because that was the adoption agency was like, you just had a
Wow.
baby. You need to wait a little bit. He needs to be at least 3 months old. And we were like, great. And as soon as he was 3 months old, we turned in the paperwork. And then we got to see a picture of Trey
Aw.
at like 1 month old. And then we got to go to Korea when he was 5 months old and go over there and get him. So Reese was 1.5.
Wow.
And Trey was 5 months old, and we brought this little baby home from Korea.
How awesome.
And it was awesome. That was a huge, awesome experience. Obviously, we have, that's another thing where we have pictures of it, and it's just, I look back and I'm like, man, just a couple of young idiots. Like we
Kids.
had a couple of kids, no idea what we were doing, and this poor sweet little baby just being like scooped up and taken from everything he's ever known, even as a 5-month-old.
Yeah, but what a life.
Yeah, and
That he
you've
has.
given
and
us.
he
and
loves,
the
yes.
joy he's give you and
He
his
does.
brother, and you know what I mean.
Yes,
And I know
he's a Florida boy. He's
a Florida
He's the
boy.
most
Oh,
Florida
for
boy.
sure.
and I know
of any
Trey
you've
more
seen.
than Reese because
Yeah.
he worked
Because
with
we're-
me.
yes.
You know what I mean. And
Yeah.
so just a cool kid. I mean,
He is cool.
if you don't know, he's just a cool kid, and just
Yes.
like, you know what I mean, just so polite and just but cool too. You know,
Yes.
and
Well, like
what an
most,
awesome thing.
most siblings, like they're so opposite.
Yeah.
And Reese
Oh,
is
yeah.
very much like his mom. And his just the way he thinks about things, his musical talents, like
Mhm.
his faith, like so much about Reese is very much like his mom, and
Yeah.
Trey is so much like me.
Yeah,
Oh,
So
yeah.
A lot,
much.
a lot,
It's-
like, a
you
lot of
could
the
tell
things,
that too.
Like his
The
Just from
temper,
seeing him.
music.
Yeah.
We'll always
fierceness,
say,
you know.
we'll say he's the most
the
guttery
music,
of
yes.
us all.
Yeah,
Like
the most Guttery.
he likes some Tupac as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
oh, I know he
Yeah.
does.
Little
The,
feist.
the
Does all
baby,
that.
the
The
baby,
baby.
Trey.
Yeah.
I
The
remember.
baby.
I
Shout
remember
out
us
Trey.
asking him, "What music you like?" He's like, "Well, the baby."
The
I was
baby.
like, "I don't know, the
Yeah.
baby." This was
Everybody
what
knows.
5 years ago, and but I could tell Reese is always polite. Hey, sir,
Yeah.
you know, I said, "You don't call
Yes.
me sir, man.
Yeah.
Call me," you know what I mean. And then Trey, you know, of course, I called Reese and Trey Dog. You know, of course, I give
Yeah.
everybody nicknames. You
It
know,
was appropriate.
yeah, appropriate. But look at that. You know,
Yeah.
how awesome you
Yeah.
guys brought him in. And look, you wouldn't know. I mean, you might look at him and think, "Oh," but never would I look at Trey and think, "Oh," because you wouldn't think he wasn't your kid.
Yeah.
Besides the visual look,
Right.
but I mean, by the
Yeah.
way he acts,
Oh,
the way
yeah.
he is, just you know what I mean.
We have a
Just-
saying about Trey. We say he's the most guttery of us all.
Yeah.
Because he's like just has taken on, like, he loves Florida. He loves fishing.
Loves
Yes.
sports.
He's a
he
Florida
loves
boy,
sports,
yeah.
He's competitive.
He's got a little
He's
temper.
got a little temper, a
Yeah.
little dog
Mhm.
in him.
Yeah,
He's-
ain't no,
Little
yeah, he don't tap.
Yeah.
No, I
And,
know that about him.
No.
So you know he's
He's the wild man
He
of the
is,
Guttery
he
crew,
is.
and then Reese is the
Yes.
yeah. And
you and him.
Straight-laced.
That's how it is.
Right.
it's just
Jackson's
wouldn't have it
like
any other
her.
way.
He's
Yeah.
more cautious, and you know she's raised Jackson since he's been a baby, and I've had full custody. But you wouldn't know that wasn't his mother.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you know Nene's a lot like me, which
Mhm.
is we're trying
Wild.
to pray that out of
She's
her.
a
Yeah.
female
She's a
David,
female
yes.
me, and then
Oh, it's
Elijah.
funny.
Well, he's a wild man, you know.
Yes, he's our wild card.
But it's crazy how the kids take on
Yeah.
the thing
Yeah.
is, and it doesn't have to be biological, man.
Right. That's
You know
what's
what I
cool
mean?
about it,
That's
right?
the
Yeah.
crazy thing about, and I call it a God thing, but you know, Jackson likes everything that she likes when it
Mhm.
comes to a menu.
Mhm.
Like he's just like her. You know what I mean? It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is. It's funny.
Yep.
That's so awesome. So you guys bring him home and life starts.
Yeah.
So let's jump a little bit. How long are we into here, Diana? All right, we're getting there.
Yeah.
So
Time
Uh,
flies.
it
does it? You're just
Fun.
having a
This is
conversation,
a great
but how
story.
but how awesome is it? Because this is the thing. You know, we get certain amount of viewers of this thing, but people, marriage, they got to have different. There's people that you guys will touch that me and her are never going to be able to touch,
Yeah.
For
and there's
sure.
people that we're going to touch that you guys might not ever be able to touch,
Sure.
and that's how we see the world change. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And that's why. There's people that are important in my life. We may not talk every day. You may not know everything about me, but there's been moments that you don't know that you guys did
Mhm.
that inspired us to push us to do things we did. You know what I
Same
mean?
here.
And
Same here with you
and
guys.
some of that just even waves or, you know, I'd be like, gosh, man, at least I know if I left, my house wasn't going to get robbed.
Yeah.
I could tell Scott
Right.
to go over there and go in whatever. We could watch the chickens.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or we'll go over, take, you know what I mean? Like stuff like that. There's nobody, I can't call my neighbor, hey, man, go in. Hey, would you go in and make sure this is
Well,
off?
first of all, he wouldn't understand you.
Well, yeah. Yeah. But with all that being said is, guys, let's fast forward. What are you doing now? What tell them what your job is, because we kind of glazed over that, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah,
And I think it's very important because I've moved a lot of people's pool tables that know who you are.
Oh, cool.
Like, you're kind of a big
It's
deal.
So crazy.
I'm not a big deal.
To-
but
to- no,
you've
you're
been
real-
around a long
Yeah,
time.
yeah, but I mean, when it comes to sports,
yeah. Yeah.
there's not anybody who does basketball. I always use like, oh yeah, my neighbor Scott Guttery, you probably know him, does basketball. Like I know,
Right.
I'm like, yeah,
Yeah, but,
Yeah, I know
but,
him.
but I get to say I know the Doughboy.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when he was big doughboy,
Yeah.
still
Do they
is.
still
but
call
he's
you
getting there.
Doughboy? Is it still a
Um,
name?
Yeah, they still call me. A
Yeah,
little
I don't know.
bit.
We
Thin
kind
crust.
of, yeah,
Yeah.
people strayed away
Swole
from that
boy
a
is
little
what
bit.
somebody
Yeah.
called me.
Yeah,
You know,
it,
that-
does need, it needs to change.
But,
Right?
Yeah, it's kind of juvenile, you know. So I've kind of, I still
like
do. I've been
Doughboy.
called it forever, so I kind of do it. But so fast forward, you guys got married, you got the boys, you served Jesus
Yeah.
on and off. I mean, I'm sure life wasn't perfect always.
Sure, no, it's never perfect, and there's trials along the way, but being plugged into a church,
Yeah.
you know, and just being faithful with
Consistent.
church attendance has been huge for our family and our life. And then one of the things we seemed like we were ahead of our friend group when it came to, obviously we got married early.
Yeah.
We
Right.
had kids earlier than most of our friends. So I remember early on in our marriage really being prayerful about needing other friends like us,
Right.
needing
Mm.
faithful friends that are attending
Right.
church, that have families. And for the first 2 or 3 years of our marriage, there wasn't anybody
There
around.
wasn't.
Right.
And now to look at our life and see how many just great friends we have who are following Jesus, who
Right.
have kids, who are great parents, who are plugged into a church, and how just God's provided us for
Yeah.
something we were praying for. I was
Right.
specifically
Absolutely.
praying for.
Mhm.
But so I've been a teacher and a coach for
Right.
23 years
Wow.
in Fort Myers, and currently work at ECS, Evangelical
Right.
Christian
How long have
School.
you been there?
Angelica.
I've been there 7 years.
7 years. Okay.
So, and I get this awesome job there where I'm just the director of basketball operations. I don't teach, I substitute teach some, but mainly just get to oversee our basketball program. I was the athletic director for a couple years, but really just love just doing basketball.
And
So,
you speak into them boys. And
Yeah.
life,
yeah, I mean, that's
man, a kid's life,
Becky
man.
reminds me a lot. You know, you can't be a coach for 23 years. I don't think you can without having a coach's wife. And
Yeah.
a coach's wife is someone who sees the mission and
Smart
purpose.
man. You see who he
Mhm.
gave the
Oh,
props
Goodness,
to.
the mission and purpose
True.
of the job, she just has to remind me about just all the time.
Right.
Because you get so frustrated losing perspective.
Right.
Right. Like if you're in sports and you're coaching or playing sports,
Mhm.
you are searching for victories.
Right.
And if that's your mission and purpose, then you're going to come up disappointed. So
Right.
she's just constantly reminding me of my mission and purpose to pour into these boys' lives.
Right.
And God gives me reminders too. Like just when I'm like really frustrated about it or thinking maybe I need to do something else, I'll get a text from a former player.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, that's been in a lot of your devotions.
Yeah,
So that
it's-
Yeah.
the
things that
timing
you,
is so perfect.
Right.
Or she'll remind me of something. And so, yeah, doing it 23 years, I still love it. I'm still enjoying it. And it has changed a lot. You know, if you know how sports, college, amateur sports are no longer amateur.
yeah.
And so, you know, for me, it's trying to find joy in something that's very different than what I got in, like
Right.
it was when I
Right.
got into
Right.
it. But I'm blessed to have the job that I have at ECS,
Right.
a small Christian school that's just I get to coach kids who want to go to school there with families who want to send their kids there,
Right.
and it's been a great place to work, and I'm thankful for it. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm still doing that.
Do you do the camp?
Yeah,
still?
so we still
Tell 'em
do a
about the camp.
summer shootout basketball camps.
There'll be a link in the description.
Yeah,
for that
sure.
stuff.
We can put a link
Yeah.
in it. This was our 20th anniversary of those camps this year.
Wow.
We've been doing it for 20 years. Becky's a huge part of helping me with that. She's
I
like
bet.
we've talked about, she's great with the money side of it and the organizational side
Right.
of it. And I get to come out and just run a camp. But
Yeah.
she does so much of the work that leads up to that camp. So we had one at the beginning of the summer with 130 campers.
Wow. That's awesome.
Did our high school team shootout. And then this summer we're doing a back to school camp, August 5th through the 8th, for, 5th through, or 6th through 10th graders.
Wow.
And so
Better
anyway,
get your
we'll put
kids
yeah.
there.
Yeah, we'll put a link in there.
Yeah,
we still
link.
got a few spots
You got to get them
remaining.
open. Yeah.
And but yeah, that the camps have been a huge part. And honestly, it's one of my favorite weeks of my year.
Yeah.
And not necessarily the 130 campers are awesome, but what I get to do is I get to have my players and former players come back and work with me.
Right.
Oh,
That's
yes.
awesome. Like to me, that's like the highlight of the job.
Yeah.
right?
That's like your award, man. That's your
Seeing how they're
award.
doing,
Yeah,
and
you're-
thriving.
Your
and-
current players, you're showing them and watching them struggle to
Right.
coach a team.
Yeah.
Coach a position, like referee a
That's
game.
awesome.
And they appreciate those sides.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
They're like, I'm a coach. I
Oh,
never realized.
I never
that."
Oh, yeah.
realized
There's
it
so
was
much
this hard.
goes into it.
What goes into it?
And then when you get to bring a former player back and just spend a week with them and you get to learn about
It's
what they're
rewarding.
doing, it's the best.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
So
That's
that's been
awesome.
the camps have been a big part of why I keep doing it.
Yeah.
And,
Well, it's in you, man.
Yeah,
it's in your
it's
DNA, bro. You know what I
and
mean?
they wear you out. They're tiring.
Oh,
and
yeah.
But
And
it's
we
rewarding.
get to know so many families through
Mm,
that
right.
too.
Yeah.
And you don't know how
Just
many
another
families
network.
that you touch. I mean, not only you speak in kids' life, man. You spoke in my life at times. You know what I'm saying?
thank
Like,
you, yeah.
and just certain things that you've said are
Yeah.
different text messages or whatever.
Yeah.
So, and that's just you though, man. That's one of them things. I always say everybody's got their thing, but that's your thing. You're an edifier. You're a coach, not just a coach
Thank you.
in basketball. Yeah, you're
Coaching life.
you're a coach for men, a coach for couples, a coach, you know what I mean? And that's the awesome thing about it. You know what I mean? And that's what always drove me to you. You know, from the beginning, I'm like, I mean, I just remember, I go, that's a good dude. Wonder if you like my my feelings, sir.
Yeah, he did. Sure he did.
It was just fun.
But you know, and so we'll have all the links in the descriptions to his camps and what they do and the picture. And what do you do, Miss Becky? Are you?
Yeah. So I actually, I was a homeschool mom, stay-at-home homeschool mom for 15 years with the boys, which was an awesome blessing, and loved getting to do that. And I never thought I would have. And I actually even kind of thought, I don't know if I'll ever want to go back to work. But as the boys got older and they're busier and people don't need you as much, I found I started off.
I still need her a lot.
Right.
Well, but there was still more free time, and so I started working at the school part time. I did that for a couple years, and then even more kind of thought, well, I think I have a little more to give, and maybe I do want to get back into full time work. And mentioned that I was kind of looking for a job to a good family friend of ours, Dan Oberski. He's a commercial realtor in town, and he was like, "Oh, well, I'm looking for an assistant, and do you think you'd be good at that?" And I think I'm like, if he's designed to be an edifier and a coach, I am an assistant, like through and through.
That's called the helper.
Yes,
That's the Holy
I
Spirit.
love being a helper.
That's what a wife is.
Yes,
Right.
love.
My wife's smart.
Yep. Yes.
Wicked
It's
smart.
good.
Wicked smart. No, but that's true. That's
so
what you are.
I get to do that at work now too, and just so I'm his assistant. So I help with some property management and bookkeeping and scheduling and emails and things like that. And they're a great, awesome Christian family that we've known and loved for several years before I started working for them, anyways. Too.
We're going on vacation with them next week.
Really?
True.
That's
Are
awesome.
you
Well,
guys?
that's your calling too. That's all. But is the organized? Like people don't understand that's a calling.
Right.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And I'm the most unorganized person you ever met. And that's a calling to keep things going
and
in
to
Monday.
see
You know,
people who like creatives and visionaries and people who have ideas, and then be like, great. I don't want to have the big, huge ideas, and I don't want to be on the big stage, but I would love to help make that happen for you.
because this guy wouldn't be doing camps.
Yes.
I'm with you.
Yes.
You wouldn't be doing camps if you wasn't behind going, okay.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Because he gets to, I mean, you roll in and you're coaching, which
Yeah.
it takes it out of you.
Yes,
and
he's
she's
the
making
show.
sure, okay, hey, if we don't have
Everything's
this and this
set,
ain't going on.
lined up.
And that's,
The talent.
You're the
Yeah.
talent. Yes, I said that one time. I said, you're the talent. And I think that, did you say or did I say? I was like, I know you're the talent. And you're like, and you're the mule. But,
I
but
don't
we
think I
did-
called you a mule.
Maybe I said it. But
might
whatever
have.
it was, it's true. Like I'm kind of back there.
you
doing some of
ever
the
know,
grunt
you
work.
always hear the things like, I found the one.
Mhm.
But really, it should be two walking to the one,
Yes,
right? You know
yes.
what I mean? I mean, I feel like I found the one. I found,
We're the
and
perfect team,
she's
yeah.
pushed
Good
me
team.
to the one more in my life.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Than anybody, or I'd be dead. You know, Jesus and Jahnna, I wouldn't be here, man. You know what I
Right.
mean? And that's
Mhm.
facts.
J and
So
J.
that's it. I'm writing a
Yeah.
country song, by the way. It
That
is
There
sounds
you
like
go.
a song right
Yep.
there.
But,
J and J.
you guys, it's been awesome having you on here.
Yes.
And,
I got to give one more plug.
Yeah.
I give one-
You
'cause it's
give as many plugs as
like
you
you
want.
got your main business, right?
Right.
That's you're so good at.
Right.
But then you've got all these little side hustles you're
Yeah.
starting. And you're doing
Yes.
great things
Yeah.
with the podcast
Right.
and Relentless Hope. So I just started a new business.
What?
I just
Come
got my
on.
captain's license. So
did you?
I'm doing fishing charters and mainly just like other types of boat charters.
Yeah.
So Coastal Connector.
Well,
Find me
we'll
on
have the link in there.
Connector.
Look at there and
We're
tell
gonna
them
add
right
the
there.
link.
Look
Yes.
at
So Coastal Connector, and I want to take you guys out sometime
Yeah.
on our new
Me
boat.
too.
Heck
Love
yeah.
that.
And I'll do sunset tours.
take
I'll
the
do
whole
island
family.
excursions,
Yeah.
See the old
restaurant
backyard
trips, beach trips. But I love being on the water. I was born
I
and
do
raised
too.
here.
I love
Man,
the
that's
boats.
awesome, bro.
Fished my whole life, but I just love being on the water.
Yeah.
I like
Oh,
taking other
that's your
people
guys.
who get to experience that and watching them. So that's kind of my side hustle. I'm not planning on being done coaching anytime
No,
soon.
but
the
hey,
Coastal Connector
well, I'm
is something
trying to
I'm
be
trying.
done moving
Hey.
pool tables.
Yeah.
So if he needs a second, what's it
I'm
called?
getting
Second
tired.
mate.
Second mate.
I'm gonna be a second mate. I'm the worst boat captain. I'll
Yeah.
tell you that story. We'll get it off camera. But something just to get serious that we didn't touch on. Our dog at one time. Let me tell you how good. I'll start crying right now. This is something we were talking about. We were like, because when we knew you guys were coming, we started talking about
Should we
our
bring the
past and
stories?
Chewy and this and that. Our dog, which was an idiot, but had attacked Trey while he was mowing the lawn.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. If neighbors wanted to do something like, you know what I mean? Like you couldn't have had two better neighbors. Not that we did. I still feel bad about it to this day. Matter of fact, I was going through my phone one time cleaning up and I came across the pictures. I was like, oh my gosh, man.
Yeah.
How awesome. Like that you guys, like, we felt so bad. And Trey, he's like, no, I'm fine, Dave. I'm like, no, Trey, you're not
'Cause
fine.
that's Trey.
You know, and
that's his
Yeah.
personality.
and that just shows what awesome people you were. You know what I
Yes.
mean? And I'm not saying, you know, I mean, just from the very first day that we moved in until the day we left, man.
Yeah.
And we miss you guys. I'll
Yeah,
cry.
miss you
too.
You know, that
I miss you
hurricane
too.
rocked us, man. And you never know what good neighbors you got until you don't have your neighbors no more, right?
Amen.
Amen to that.
I knew I wasn't going to make it
Amen
through
to
without
that.
crying, Diana. I'm an emotional basket case. No, I'm just.
Hey, now
no,
you're touched.
I
We
spent
miss
so
you
many
too.
years not crying. Like, you don't cry, you fight. That was how I was raised. That now I'm like,
Let it out.
it's
Let
and
it
it's
go.
good cries. You know what I mean?
He's,
It's like
he's
happy.
probably he's our crier too, and I was
Me
thinking
too.
about that. It's just it's passion.
Yeah,
Yes.
You know, 'cause it's-
it is.
Every emotion is going to come out strong because
Yep.
there's a lot of it
You're
down
exactly
there.
right.
You know,
So,
and I spent so many
it's
years putting
passion.
it like in my right hand, like I'll woo, woo, and now I'm like, come here, man, let me hug you,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
You called me what? Come here, it's okay, man. But listen, you see these glasses right here?
Go.
Neven, Florida-based company. Get on here,
Mm-hmm.
man.
Those
I
look
look
good.
I look
You
good.
can
in these
cry all the
glasses.
time and
Yeah,
nobody will know.
He's crying
The
back
reason
there.
why I got these is because they hide me crying on my podcast.
My
But
big crybaby.
NevenEyewear.com, the link will be in. Get you some clean calls.
Good
Scott and
stuff.
Becky Guttery,
Thank you,
all the
guys.
links.
Thank you guys.
Better go charter my man here. I'm gonna
Yes.
head out there.
Coastal Connector.
Yes.
We thank you guys for coming on. We love you guys.
Love you
Reese,
guys,
Trey,
too.
we love
Thank you.
you. We know you're gonna listen to this, at least certain parts of it. My kids skip it.
Shout out to Trey and Reese.
Yeah, shout out to Trey and Reese.
A little chewy.
Chewy.
Oh, Chewbacca.
Yep. We're out of here. Relentless Hope Podcast. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share. Until next time. Peace.